Hello and welcome to the Nightly Met. I am Avery Anderson, back from a week off, and I want to say thank you so much to our wonderful crew in Kayland, Orlando for holding down the fort. Our usual episodes are 60 minutes, but tonight's episode and the following couple weeks will be 30 minutes. It's not that we don't have enough time or enough stuff to talk about, but I am directing a local production of Honky Tonk Angels Holiday Spectacular for the Northland players and need to dedicate some extra time to my honky tonk girls. So, since we're already short on time, I should just stop talking and wasting it. Our first guest tonight is a singer-songwriter who was raised right here in the Rocky Mountains, and ever since she was a little girl, she knew that music was her passion. With me now is Megan Burtt. How are you, Megan?
Hi, I'm great.
Wonderful.
How are you?
I'm good.
Honky tonk girls.
Yeah, I'm calling them my honky tonk women.
I want to come see that.
You totally should. We start rehearsals November 3rd, so I haven't even got to play with my girls yet. But I call them my girls because they already are. We cast them a couple weeks ago, and I'm so excited for it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's just 4 women singing country songs in a bar.
Man, I should have auditioned.
Yeah. Next time.
Next time
for
yeah,
sure.
Be sure to send me the email.
Sure, I will. So thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Why don't we just start with, you kind of knew immediately from a young age that music was your passion, this is what you wanted to do. So how did that kind of come to be? Where did the influence come from?
Probably Disney movies. You know, like wanting to be the Little Mermaid.
Okay. Well, you've already got the red hair.
Right, that's right. Yeah, and just everything worked out for her.
What attracted you to the musical elements of Disney movies, or just music in general?
I think I was just always a musical kid. I liked playing piano and writing songs, and I like to tell a story that it's kind of in my blood because my dad's dad, my grandfather, was a big band drummer.
Okay.
And so I think it's genetic.
And what is it like knowing that, your family members played music and now you're doing that as a profession?
I feel a little bit like the black sheep of my family, quite honestly, because a lot of my family doesn't play music.
Okay.
But my grandfather did, and so he gets all the credit whether he wants it or not, because he's kind of the only one. My great aunt and uncle played. I think it maybe skipped a generation, and I'm just crazy enough to actually try to pursue it.
Take it on.
Yeah.
And what sort of musical influences did you listen to growing up? What was
a lot of female songwriters: Joni Mitchell, Bonnie Raitt, Sean Colvin, Etta James.
Yeah.
Lots of girls.
Lots of girls. I love it. So you grew up listening to music, starting to play it, and then you went to college in Boston.
Yep, correct? I went to Berklee College of Music, and that was really more when I knew that I wanted to pursue it full-time, was going to music school.
Okay.
It's kind of an easy trajectory to follow.
And what was that like moving across the country? Because you grew up...
Oh, I couldn't wait. I think mostly I went to Berklee because it was the farthest I could get away from Colorado.
And was it just Colorado you wanted to get away from, or what?
Yeah, I just was ready to leave home.
Ready for a change of pace.
Ready to go away.
Yeah, but you're back now in Colorado.
Kind of.
Some of the time you're back
Some
here.
of the time.
Okay.
I tour a lot. I'm in New York a lot. I've been in Nashville a lot lately.
Okay.
But yeah, this is still home.
Yeah. I don't want to ask what city you prefer most, because I feel like each city probably has its own charm.
If I knew, I probably wouldn't be so restless.
Okay. I like that answer.
Yeah.
Great. So you went to college in Boston.
Yep.
And now you're out. You do a lot of different stuff. You don't really have one musical path you go down. As far as you're playing sololy, you play with some bands. So
kind of a chameleon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like, kind of doing all these different things, and what do you enjoy doing?
I am really enjoying this season of my life of what I've been calling lately of just throwing it all against the wall. I have my ginger band, Ginger Bomb, and that's been really a fun outlet, and I love playing with my band. I'm touring solo. I leave in a couple hours for a Europe tour. And I've been doing this like synthy pop thing lately, and also I've started producing records. So it's been fun to try it all, and we'll see what sticks. Ask me in 5 years.
And then we'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, because you're still so early on in your career.
Kind of, but I've been pounding the pavement for 12 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're younger I would say, in the scope of your career.
Right. Let's hope so.
Exactly.
Avery.
So you're
Still
literally,
gotta have time to be a honky tonk woman.
I'm telling you, we'll revive the show just for you. I'd love to have you do it.
I really kind of think that would be fun.
One day.
Okay.
We'll keep in touch and we'll find the perfect time to do
great.
it.
Okay.
So we're running out of time, but I do want to talk about Ginger Bomb.
Yeah, of course you do. Ginger brother over
Yes.
here.
So tell me about this ginger band that you are making.
Ginger Bomb started with one of those funny ideas, like, you know, when you were like, hey, we should make a t-shirt that says whatever on it, but you never actually like do the funny idea. Ginger Bomb was like, we should start a ginger band, but then we did it. Actually.
That's wonderful.
I started it with my friend Zach in New York, that I write a lot with, and then we needed to find ginger players, which is hard to do. So we're actually a long distance band. 2 of the members live in LA.
Okay.
Zach's in New York, but it's really fun and it's being received well, and we made a record I'm really proud of, and
Wonderful.
it's a bunch of redheads on stage. So what can go wrong?
I don't think anything can go wrong.
Nothing can go wrong.
Because anytime a group of redheads get together, it's just going to be wonderful.
Magic, yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I want to talk about one more thing before we're out of time. You also play in prison systems.
Yeah, in December, I'm headed, that'll be my 3rd tour for the year.
Okay.
Or I'm headed out for 3 tours, and that will cap off the year.
Yeah, and you just go around to different prisons.
They're all in the
playing inside.
Pennsylvania prison system. They're all maximum security state prisons in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And this will be my 6th year maybe doing it, 6th
And
or 7th.
Why do you enjoy doing that? What's the purpose behind doing that?
They are my favorite gigs to play, honestly. It's really an honor to be able to go inside the prisons, because most of the inmates who come see us, their families will never see
Right.
what their lives look like. So it's really a privilege, I think, and they're so grateful. They're the best audience of any audience I've ever had.
That's wonderful.
For maybe the Germans, they're a great audience.
Okay. I feel like we could just have a whole nother conversation about who's your favorite audiences.
Yeah, prisoners.
Prisoners are the best audiences.
They're
Great to
so
know.
grateful to have music. They.
And I think it's great that you do that and you provide that for them, because
Yeah.
you're right. Sometimes they don't get to hear music and hear those luxuries. Well, I'm so happy you came down here tonight. You're going to play for us some.
Thanks for having me.
It's always great to have another ginger, but we are out of time. But I will definitely call you up when we're reviving Honky Tonk
Great.
Angels. I'm serious. We're going to do it.
Okay.
We're going to do it.
Okay.
All right. Welcome back. Our next guest truly has too many credits to even talk about, so I don't even know if I should even try when she's sitting right next to me. She's an author, professor, woman extraordinaire, Nancy Stohlman. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
So you do a lot. We're here to talk about your writing because you were an author, but you're also a professor at CU Denver and CU Boulder.
I am, yeah. And CCD here at Auraria.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you kind of just teach all over the place.
I do. I'm kind of doing the adjunct shuffle, we call it. So yeah, it's really fun.
What's it like getting to teach at different places and teach here on the Auraria campus?
Yeah, well, you know what's most unique is that each school kind of has its own personality.
Sure.
So the students that I teach here in Denver are very different than the students I teach in Boulder. And so, you know, I might be teaching the same material, but the interactions in class are completely different. So it's kind of neat just seeing how different groups of students kind of create their own class synergy.
Exactly. And you kind of teach a variety of different things. You were saying at CCD you teach media and mass media and journalism. What else do you kind of teach? What do you enjoy teaching?
Well, I've taught all sorts of things. I teach creative writing as well, journalism, and then things like magazine, new media. I teach them how to blog. And then over at CU Boulder, I'm teaching like rhetoric and composition and argumentation. So yeah, just all over the place. But it's all writing, so it's all wonderful.
Yeah, all writing based, which you are also an author.
Yes.
You've written many different books.
Yeah.
So just talk about what is your life like as an author? What is that process like?
Oh, wow. Well, it's really less glamorous than it sounds, probably. I think that people have this idea that it's sort of glamorous, but it's really just a daily part of my life. So I've been writing professionally for 15 or 20 years now. Awesome. And so it's just really, it's almost like drinking water. You know, I couldn't really go a day without it or I'd feel really cranky. But I write in all these little spaces. I mean, as I'm commuting to Boulder to teach, I'm writing on the train, you know, or when dinner is like waiting for the pasta to boil, I'm like jotting down notes. So it doesn't look like, you know, a lakeside view and endless time, but I think it's a real practical way of approaching a career in the arts, as opposed to the idealized career in the arts.
Well, because I think some people think like writing and being an author sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day, like just writing, but it's not. It's living life and, as you said, going through your day, finding little things.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the different books you've written. What's your favorite book you've written? Can you say? Do you have a favorite?
It's always the newest one is the favorite, probably. Yep. So that is this one. Can I hold it up?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So this is Madame Velvet's Cabaret of Oddities, and I think it's really important. I want you to see like the size of the pieces in here. So lots of white space, and they're really tiny, and that's because I write flash fiction. So flash fiction is an entire genre of writing that are stories, like complete stories with beginning, middle, and ends, but all under 1,000 words. Okay. And as you can see, many of mine are under 200 words. Right. And so there's a real art. It's like learning how to miniaturize. Yeah. So some people kind of will approach flash fiction and they'll say, oh, that's cute, or that's a little party trick, or oh, that must be easy, I'll start there, you know. And it's really the opposite. I mean, I started writing novels and I've kind of like now shrunk down to 200 words. So it's a really dynamic genre. People are really getting into it, discovering it, figuring out how complex it is. And so most of my books are flash fiction. So they're collections of flash fiction. And this one is what I would call a threaded collection. So each of the pieces stand alone, but they're contributing to like a bigger story. Okay. So they're almost like chapters, but self-contained story chapters. Okay. So I love it. And this one is all carnival themed and like clowns and medicine shows and like vintage like freak performers. And so it's perfect for Halloween.
Yeah,
right?
perfect. I mean, it's coming out right now.
Yeah, so it's just out now. Like I'm waiting for my box of books to arrive. This is actually the proof. So this is what you get like before you get the real copy. You get the proof. So that's actually what I have. And then I'm doing this big performance on October 26th here in Denver at the Mercury Cafe, and we're going to actually read the book with performers, like as clowns and ringmasters and the whole thing. So it's going to be nutty and fun, and there's music. And
do you have a favorite story in the book?
I do. Well, I have a lot of favorites, but one of my favorites is what was really an impetus for a lot of them. It's called My Mother Was a Circus Clown, and I did a book trailer of it. It's actually you'll probably be seeing it here in a second. But it's about a mother, it's about a narrator whose lamenting the fact that her mother was a clown, and so she didn't get tucked in correctly, and she didn't get to hug her because her mother was always beating her head with a rubber chicken, or but there's something about it that's very kind of both funny and sad.
Okay.
And I think that's what people say a lot about my work, is that it's kind of funny on the surface, but there's this underlying feeling of this sort of sadness or poignantness. I don't do it purposely. It's just kind of what comes out. I see things that are entertaining, and then somehow the sadness comes through.
Which, to do all that in less than 200 words takes some real talent and skill.
Yeah,
it's not the easiest thing.
No, it's not easy.
Does your mother know that you wrote that story?
She does.
Okay.
And actually, I wanted to dedicate the book to her, but then I got really worried that she would be like, what are you saying about me? Because like the clown mother ends up like joining a cult and all sorts of things in this book, right? So I sent it to her, and I was just like, hey Mom, this book's coming out. Do you want to just read it to you? And so I was kind of waiting to see what she said, and then she wrote back and she's like, oh, I love it. And I was like, great, because I'd love to dedicate it to you, but I didn't want,
Want you to be
for
like,
her to be like, you hate me.
Is this the first book you've dedicated to her?
Yeah.
So this was a big book. Oh, wonderful. And I also want to talk about, in November, you kind of put together something called Flash Nano.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because that's coming up.
Flash Nano is awesome. So this will be the 7th year of Flash Nano, and it goes in along with the NaNoWriMo that happens in November. So if you don't know what that is, it's the National Novel Writing Month, where writers all over the world, like 200,000 writers, will attempt to write a novel in a month, which is like really cool, right?
Yeah.
And means you have to write like 2,000 words a day. And about 7 years ago, everybody's like, okay, November's coming, are you gonna do it? And like, I can't get into novel mode. I'm writing too much flash fiction. And so I created this alternative Flash Nano, where we'll write 30 stories in 30 days in the month of November. And so every year, more and more people kind of jump on this Flash Nano bandwagon. And I put a prompt out there every day. Doesn't mean you have to use the prompt, but it's just sort of a fun. And then you end up writing a whole lot of stories.
Wonderful, yeah. And where can people see these prompts?
Yeah, so my website's a great place, so nancystohlman.com. And I'll put them on social media and stuff, so if you're following me on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, I'll put them out there. And then I have a mailing list too, if you want me to send them right to you.
Yeah.
So.
Now we're running out of time, but I just want to ask, because I think it's so important. In your opinion, why should people write every day?
Oh, yeah. So people should write every day because it's a practice. And it's like stretching. It's like doing yoga, right? If you wait till Saturday to stretch, then you kind of have to go all the way back to where you were the Saturday before. And so I think if you just write every now and then when you come to your work, it's like a stranger, you know? But when you write every day, even 10 minutes a day, you're creating a relationship with your writing. And so when you're not writing, you're still thinking about it. It's like being in love, you know? When you're not seeing your book, you're still thinking about your book. And then when you get to have 10 minutes, it's so amazing. When you don't get to see your work for a week or 2 weeks or a month, they're so distant.
Yeah.
So
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for
having me. And I want to encourage everyone to come to the Mercury Cafe on October 26th, pick up a copy of the book, see some fun performances. And right now, let's go to one of Megan Burtt's performances.
This is called Coming Home. Never wanted to feel just like a stone, tethered to the ground that it lays upon. It's faces, places that lay my soul to rest, chasing, claiming the time that I got left, but I am coming home. I am coming home. just feel this pull and I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could, sometimes I wish I would, but I really don't know where I belong. If only till I can rest my tired bones. If only till I forget I feel alone. I am coming home. I am coming home. I am coming home. I am coming home.
Welcome back. Our final guests tonight are Sally Diamond and Ed Byerline from Germinal Stage. They're about to open their 45th season, so please welcome Ed Byerline and Sally Diamond.
Thank you.
Hi. How are you?
Very much. We
Okay.
are doing quite well. Thank you, Avery.
Thank you so much for coming down.
We're delighted to do it.
Yeah. So 45 seasons. And did I say the name of Germinal Stage?
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Perfect.
Yes.
So 45 seasons for the theater company. That's a momentous, really, occasion. It truly is.
I guess. We're pushing 50. I think we're officially pushing 50.
Okay.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah. And what is it like to be on the 45th season and to know that you've made it this long?
It's really interesting. This summer we were digitizing tapes and videos and CDs, DVDs of all of our shows, and so we got to look back at many seasons and watch ourselves growing older. But we've done some really fun things.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, we sold the building that we were in Northwest Denver. We started out in lower downtown before it was Lodo, and at 18th and Market, and we were there for 13 years, and they were going to demolish it. And so we found a lovely building in Northwest Denver at 45th and Alcott, and we were there for 26 years. Thank you. The numbers
I like
man.
how this works.
This is the numbers guy.
Well, we've been married 50 years.
So
51.
yeah, we just sort of feed one another when we run out of information. And then we sold that building, and we've been kind of gypsying around. We were in Westminster at 73rd Avenue Theater for 3 seasons, and then we were in Westminster High School, which was a trip. And now we are at the Firehouse Theater in Lowry, in the John Hant Ballroom, where we're doing readings of plays that we love. And next season we will be in the John Hant Theater for 3 productions for a season.
And I wanted to talk about that. What is it like getting to come into the John Hant? Because so many theaters have kind of come and gone from there and kind of share that space. So what is that like to get to be a part of that group?
Well, we'll be sharing the space as well. And it's going to be an adjustment since we've had our own space essentially for 44 years.
Sure.
And so the sharing will be a new experience for us. It's also finding or discovering a new space and new technical facilities that we'll have to adjust to. And so it's an adjustment, but we're doing the kinds of plays that we've done at our other theaters over the years.
Yeah. And let's talk about those plays. What is in store for the 45th season? What do you guys like to do?
Well, in January, we'll be doing 2 early Pinter plays. We're doing The Room and The Collection. We've done The Collection before, but it's been a long time ago, but we've never done The Room. And then in May, we'll be doing Hay Fever by Noel Coward. And in October, a play called Too True to Be Good by George Bernard Shaw. Over our history, we've done a lot of Pinter, we've done a lot of Shaw, lot of Tennessee Williams, Arthur Miller, and so we hope to continue that tradition with those kinds of plays over at the John Hand.
Yeah, and those are all such rich plays and rich authors that need to be done, I feel. So what is it like to get to bring this sort of work, more classic work, to audiences today?
Well, it's interesting. Our audience has, a lot of people in our audience have been with us, some of them the whole time.
It's wonderful.
And so they're graying. And so we're hoping that by moving into the John Hand, we'll pick up some of the audiences that other theaters have brought there who will be curious about some of the plays that we're doing, things that they've heard of or read in school, or things that are in their minds, but maybe not in their wheelhouse. And so we're sort of hoping that people will check us out.
Wonderful.
Because we're in a very convenient location
You
now.
guys are now, yeah. And I want to ask, as someone who's just starting their theatrical journey and getting into theater from sitting on the same couch with people who have been doing it for 4 decades, what advice do you have for young people who are wanting to start theater companies or wanting to be actors and directors? What would you tell them?
Well, I would say to try to stay in your own community and feed your own community rather than to aspire to national or international prominence. But theater is something that you can do in your own community, as long as you don't want to make a lot of money at it. Sometimes you can earn a living, and especially if you're in technical theater. But as an actor, you're pretty much working for car fare.
Very true.
In Denver.
Yeah. But I totally agree. I think there are so many talented people here in Denver and in other communities. And
Absolutely.
if they keep coming back to their community, we can grow the community.
Right.
We're running out of time, but I have to ask, going on 45 years, do you have a favorite memory or just a favorite aspect of doing this for so many years? Kind of what's kept you guys doing this for so long?
Oh, I think just having the audience there and feeling their interest in what you're doing, or having them, making them laugh, or feeling the connection with the audience. Our theaters have never been very big, and we've never been more than a few feet away from the front row and just several feet away from the back row. And so that's the thing for me is just communicating with live people.
And forming a community with a group of actors and technicians and audience, to have a community within a small space.
Wonderful, I love it. Well, we are out of time, but I think everyone should come to the John Hand to see the 3 shows you guys are putting on this coming year. I think it'll be great. Well, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much,
Thank you
Ava.
so much.
Nice
Thanks
to
a
meet
lot.
you.